Okay, there's a few complaints I have for the Five Nights at Freddy 2 movie. This is just my opinion. It's not true or false. It's just my opinion. But let's start it off with, why doesn't Vanessa just leave Charlotte alone? If she just wants to watch the puppet because the puppet is her only friend, then that's fine. Another thing, if you know your father is killing children and stuff, why don't you warn the children not to follow the yellow rabbit? Why did it took William Afton this long to actually try to kill somebody? Why didn't he just do it there and then? I don't get that. Another thing is, how was it an accident? Charlotte got stabbed in the back more than once, and they theorized that it's an accident. And the aunt is still alive and she's not present. Okay, fine. I could believe that. Not really half and half, if I'm going to be honest. Another thing is the puppet is strong. Like, for a thin animatronic hold up by string, that thing is crazy strong. Another problem I have, Abby says she doesn't want to be treated like a little kid because she's not a baby anymore. Then stop acting like a baby in this movie. Stop not listening to rules. Stop doing things and thinking there's no consequences into your actions. And surprisingly, with the movie, it doesn't even show the lesson of that. Like, where Abby kind of gets away scot-free, which, I'm going to be honest, I like Abby. I'm just confused. Like, darn, why doesn't she have, like, a plot or a point to her character? Because she acts smart, but then she acts oblivious. Why does the kid say Abby should just fix her friends herself? I'm going to be totally honest. We saw how bad she was at animatronics in class. Even the teacher said so. So why is he bringing that up? What does Mike mean when he said, where he's like, oh, so that's what having friends was like? Why did he say that? He has a friend. Stop pretending you're a nobody. Vanessa and Mike do know they have friends, right? Speaking of friendship, why is Abby pushing aside her human friends? Yes, I watch Elio. I know what I'm talking about. But I mean, like, she's like, oh, no, they don't matter. Mike is like, oh, you mean like your human friends? And she's like, no. And he's like, you know, you should get some real friends. And she's like, no, the ghost children really are my friends. We don't know where they are right now, so we don't know where they are right now, but they are my friends. And another thing I got to point out, speaking of not knowing where they are, Mike promises to fix the animatronics. For the love of goodness, does he even know where they are? Because later on in the movie, we see Mike just standing there yelling at mid-nowhere, and we don't see the animatronics anywhere. Like, if the animatronics turned wizard and they were possessed by the puppet, I mean, the ghost children were possessed by the puppet, I would understand that. If she just, like, drew a picture and put it on the wall, and then they're like, oh, goodness, Abby's not our friend. Why didn't they do that? Just out of curiosity, I'm not trying to be mean. Another thing is, why is Mike eating bread and Vanessa's eating bread without using, like, the plates? Like, no wonder why the waiters are so snippy in the restaurant. I'm just saying, that's just my opinion. Why not use the plates? This is a date. That's what Mike literally says out loud in front of Vanessa. Why? Why? And this is just a nitpick I kind of have. This is just my opinion. How come Mangle doesn't have an origin? Like in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you'd think that the Mangle origin should have been a thing. Surprisingly, no, it's not. And I'm a little disappointed in that. But they had time to make a circus baby, a real-life circus baby animatronic that they only used for a short time, instead of just making two mangled animatronics, one for, like, before and one for after. And another thing is, with the rest, we saw the whole FNAF 2 place, correct? It was great. We saw everything but the animatronics. We're all mad at Chuck E. Cheese for doing it, but why is it when Freddy does it in the second movie, no one seems to clearly state, hey, where are the animatronics? Tiny puppet figurines. Why do we have tiny puppet figurines? I am going to be totally honest. I would have gone with, like, the little circus baby things, or the little ballerinas even. I mean, if we're going to bring circus baby into this movie, we might as well bring the little figurine ballerina things. Why do we needed, like, little puppet figurines? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why did the employees of Fast Bear thought it was a good idea for children to just take apart and put back together an animatronic, which I gotta say is ironic that they know how to do it way better than the actual workers of Five Nights at Freddy's, at Freddy Fazbear's. So there we go. So are you telling me that Mike's been standing there this whole time? What is with the Five Nights at Freddy movies and the ideal that closed restaurants should have, like, night guards? I personally just don't get the ideal. Especially if the restaurants were abandoned. Like, why? Why do we need night guards for those? Again, I don't know anything about working a night shift, so yeah, I don't know what it's like to be a security guard now that I think about it. Actually, I don't know why you have cameras pointing at the animatronics now that I think about it. I'm going to be honest, I don't know anything about this. Why are these guys just going around unguarded? Just out of curiosity. Like, why'd they split up and without the guard that actually watches over the place? I just don't understand that. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I do feel like it needed a little more tuning when it came to storytelling. Unless they were trying to be like Fazbear Frights, the book franchise, but honest to goodness, I don't really think that makes sense. Are you actually telling me that that tiny music box actually lasted for like, what, 17 years? 20 years? 40, 30? I don't know. I don't know how old these guys are. Are you literally telling me, like, that music box lasted that long? And if we're going by that direction, why did Henry didn't make another music box that lasted that long? Because apparently, if you notice from the ending, it didn't work. Also, no offense, and this is just a nitpick for me. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I know this is hard work, and I appreciate all the hard work that they actually did. But are you telling me that we never really got to see Mangold in her full potential? We never got to see the full potential of Mangold. Like, that was one of the only many reasons of why I wanted to see this movie. I wanted to see, like, Mangle, and I wanted to hear the voice lines and everything. Speaking of voice lines, one thing that kind of bothers me is that Toy Chica has so much voice lines, or at least a minute longer than Freddy and Bonnie. You know what's another thing that bothers me, and I'm just going to say this out loud? When it comes to the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie, why does Abby love Chica so much? Like, Chica was the one in the first movie that tried to stuff her in a suit, so why on earth does she like Chica again? Because as far as I'm concerned, she kind of had a connection with all of them equally. I know the actress who played Abby loved the actress who was in the Chica outfit. That makes sense, but within this universe, why does she like Chica the best? I don't get it. It's not even the same Chica, so what the heck? Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Maybe I just don't get this. So she just happened to have a gun with her. They could tell she's very unstable. She carries a gun in a bag, and she's an ex-police officer from my knowledge. And no one's reporting this. Another funny thing about this movie that I just got to point out, this is not a bad thing or anything, but something I just got to point out when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, and this is my opinion. William Afton did not came back in this movie when he said, "I always come back," or something like that. Isn't it kind of weird that it took like a movie leap in order for him to actually come back? Like, what was he waiting for? And I know I already said this, but where the neck were the animatronic kids? Neck, where were the animatronics? Like, were they just still stuck at Freddy's? Because I don't know why they're so tied to Freddy Fazbear, like, spiritually. I don't get that. Do you think William Afton has the ability to haunt dreams? You know, kind of like the ghost children? Actually, that's not a bad theory. Could William Afton haunt you in your dreams and harm you in your dreams? Just like how the ghost children harmed Mike in his dreams. Like, I'm going to be honest, you know, that's not actually a bad idea. Maybe that's what they were trying to go for. If so, you know, that was actually a pretty good thing going on. You think they would have had a lot more scenes like that? You know, like the Minecraft movie where there should have been a lot more building.
Don't you know you're my favorite? Don't you know that I love you? Don't you know that I care about you?
Is that a song? Is that lyrics to a song? It sounds like lyrics to a song. Also, another thing I just want to point out. So, Vanessa is basically his favorite. That's what he confirmed. So, is Mike's thing kind of try to be better thing? Oh my goodness, he's gonna be the second purple guy or Ender in the third movie, isn't he? Is that the direction we're going for? Okay, we really don't need the Five Nights at Freddy theme song. Wait a minute. He whistles that tune while opening the door in the dark. Is he Freddy Fazbear from the original game? Goodness and behold, we got Circus Baby. That one cameo that shouldn't happen, but it happened. I wonder if they're going to use it for the third movie. This might sound stupid and stuff, but why is Vanessa, like, able? No offense, but the fact that she could just barge into his house without really waiting for Mike to answer the door, or at least ringing the doorbell or whatever, does that throw anybody else off, or is it just me? And if they move to a new house, just out of curiosity, first of all, why did they move to a new house? How does that interfere with, like, the plot? Because as far as I'm concerned, I think it was just Freddy's Pizzeria that got destroyed. I don't remember the first movie house getting destroyed.
No, she can help. Freddy tried, but his fingers were too fat.
Are you telling me Bonnie didn't get to do anything? She's aware of ghost children, and she's not freaked out on the fact that these guys might have something to do with, like, murder, death, killing, harm, vengeance, you know, ghost things. She actually watches ghost videos and haunted stuff. How is she not taking any advice from those guys? Unless those guys don't have anything on that. Why'd you have a picture of her and Mike on a boat? He's aware that Chica's not on it, though, right?
You know, Vanessa, I've been trying really hard to move forward. No, you listen.
She went somewhere and he's not listening.
And right now she's hurting. And she misses her friends, and there's nothing that I can do to help her.
Wasn't there like 5 kids that were like beating him up in the first movie?
Other kids like Charlotte. How do you... Her dad made that father.
Watch the movie.
Why do you assume there were other kids?
My father was a monster, you know that.
I mean, why didn't she ask for help or anything?
I'm trying to fix you, and I don't...
Is that what this is now?
I mean, to be frank, wasn't she trying to fix him in the first movie, too?
You know what?
I'm sorry,
Also, can he stopped calling his little sister Abs? That sounds kind of weird. Okay, I just want to be clear. Was she literally possessing the girl for like 3 days?
I know what you want.
For 2 days? Or I don't know how much days.
Get out of here and do that.
Wait, was it a lock on the animatronics or a lock in the restaurant? Because last time I checked, Mike didn't lock the door. I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way. Classic quote. The jump scares also weren't that close to the screen. Like, in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, they were too close. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, they were close enough to freak me out. But when you actually watch, like, this movie, and Secret of the Mimic, now that I think about it, the jump scares were pretty distant. Except for the puppet coming out of Chica. That one actually did freak me out the first time I saw it. Okay, another thing I just want to point out, so the distance between the school and Freddy Fazbear's original location is just a bike ride away. I love how slow these animatronics are. Like, I know the original ones were slow, but the toy ones were a little quicker. Why does she have to do it? Why didn't they just force Vanessa to do the code thingy? I don't get it. Okay, so let me get this whole thing straight. Puppet's point was to protect the children. Even in this movie, her point was to protect children from grown-ups who tried to kill them. Why is she going to kill Abby? I don't get that. So her point is just get revenge on anybody and everybody. Like, the kids never really did anything to her. If anything, Vanessa should have gotten the revenge quilt. There he is. Toy Bonnie. Toy Freddy. A game theory. Oh, wait, if I'm putting this on YouTube, do I have a right to say that, now that I think about it? Why is Abby so obliviously dense? I'm sorry. She's, like, incredibly dense. Why does Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie not say Jack on this? I like how they're playing talk in your sleeve. Why did Toy Chica's beak came off and her eyes were black for no particular reason? Like, she's not even scared. She's just like, hey,